Hello, welcome back to the channel. It's Natalie. If you're seeing this when I've just released it, happy Easter. If you're not, I hope you're enjoying it. I am going to make a lawn fawn reveal card. I haven't made one of these. I've had this die set for way too long. Way too long. This is actually quite easy. I didn't know how easy it was, but it was going to be quite easy. I had this other piece here. I had a backing, so I've cut my little round circle and my little arrow from that piece, and you can see I've just freehand drawn a wavy line for my ground. This little, it's actually an egg, but it's super big, so he's going to have a cart full of little Easter eggs, big Easter eggs, not little ones. I'm not going to fill it completely because, you know, he needs space to look in the rear vision mirror. Otherwise, it is not safe. I'm just saying. So I've masked out around the edges, including, basically I've taken out his windscreen. It was a separate mask for the little bear. I just thought that was going to be the easiest way to do it. And I'm just using little offcuts and the mask to put a couple of Easter eggs in the card, in my car. So yeah, this reveal wheel is super easy. I'm going to cut another piece of the backing without the hole, and you'll see that later on. This, I have just eyeballed roughly how wide my car is. My wheels, my road is sort of going to be a little bit smaller at the very tip because I'm going to place my car down. I have peeled paint for my background, for my grass area. I just want a little bit of light. I am going to come back in with some Copic colouring to add a little bit of fun. And somehow I got a smush on it. So I don't know how. It was red. I haven't touched red, so I don't know. I saw this being done for someone. I think it was Cards and Coffee Time. I will leave a thing down below. She did something similar to this, and I thought, that is really cool. That is really fun. And didn't really think too much more of it. But then when I did the Easter egg, it just screamed out for a multicolored sky. So I am using Worn Lipstick, Evergreen Bough, and shaded lilac. And I'm going to rotate those down, cleaning off my stencil, rotating it around. The good thing, it is my favorite things, but I love it. The good thing about this stencil is that you have 4 different sides. So therefore you have 4 different clouds, images sort of thing. So I'm just rotating those around so they'll all be a little bit different. The woman that I saw it on, I wasn't going to do this, but I thought that's really cool. And then with Easter, I don't normally make Easter cards. I've made a couple. But when I started doing this, it just sort of happened, and I'm like, it's got to be an Easter. It's got to be Easter, because it was just bright and colourful and cheery. And so after I put the Easter eggs in my car, I needed this. I needed that background. I am using my go-to at the moment. I've just gone over my little red smoosh line, thank goodness. And it covers it really well. I didn't bring the card in when I went to get to do this voiceover. So it covers it really well. I have used the YG67, YG17 and YG03. That is my go-to at the moment. I love that combination. I need to branch it out a little bit more because I get stuck in my colors a little bit. I think, don't we all? I think we do. I will come in later on with an O marker to just soften my lightest color a little bit, because it was still a little bit too dark and a contrast between my lightest color and my peeled paint distress inks that I put in the background. This way I don't have to do all of it. You of course could add more of the peeled paint and like heavier, put it on heavy, more heavy-handed, but I wanted it sort of a little bit soft. E. Well, let's go with E's. Let's say E's instead. E57, E55, and E31. And this is going to make my sand because he's traveling on a sandy road. I am going to do most of it in just flicks. And now I'm going through with a little bit of stippling. And this is going to give it a little bit of a gravelly look. And this is perfect when you have the fine tip on your Copic markers. I have slowly, because it is an investment, I have changed some of my everyday or regular use colors. So especially around Christmas time, the reds, some of my reds, I have converted over. Now I've only done this on the sketch. I don't think they are made, I don't have the packaging in front of me. I don't think they're made for the chow. So it's only the sketch that you can do it with. You need to, with the darkest color, you do it close together in obviously the darker area, and then push it out and make it a little bit more wider, a little bit more of a gap. And then the lightest color is going to be a lot more. So I'm keeping my center of it relatively clear. It's still going to be colored, but relatively clear. But when you go over it with this lightest color and go the whole lot, you can still see them. And it just gives it that little bit of texture and a little bit of interest. I'm marking down where my ground is, adding some E57, going back in, and I'm with the 55 and the 31, and now I'm going to go and add a little bit of the stippling. So where there's darkest, you do a lot, and then still, as you move away from your darker area, still having some of the darkest color, but just a little bit more sparser. Adhere that all flat. There's my little arrow, so don't lose him. It could be sad. I said, Lawn Fawn has made this really easy. My first color, my eggs are going to be the RVs, so you can see all the numbers there. I will also leave a link down below over to my blog, and you can see more photos and see all the colors themselves as well. Lawn Fawn has made this really simple. I wasn't sure, because I'd bought it so long ago, I wasn't too sure how to put this together. So I did a little bit of research, and the woman I actually saw, she used a pencil to mark it out. What they actually have now, and they've had them for years, they will have little varying shapes for your reveal part. So in this card, we have almost like a windscreen sort of look. On the card that I cut my base, my ground out of, we have I had an ice cream look, which I've never used. Back to this for a minute. So we've got B37, B45 and B41 for our car. My camera is going to cut out a little bit, but you do pretty much see exactly what I do. We didn't lose too much here. So he's just going to be a straight blue card. My wheels are going to be black. My steering wheel is going to be black. And then in the headlights, I leave the little tiny ones. I didn't bother with those. My headlights and my background, the back of my car, I just decided to leave white. So you are coloring the shadows in just to give it a little bit more depth, a little bit more interest. So yeah, Lawn Fawn has varying different reveal shapes. I have collected in D-Stash, People's D-Stash, other reveal dies. They may not have as template, I don't know, but I have quite a few, and it makes it super easy, and you're going to see how I did it later on. If you don't have the template, what I saw was that the woman just placed it down on her, like had the wheel tucked in behind. She used rulers to line it up properly and everything else. You don't have to do that with a template. Makes it super easy. But she measured and she positioned the template where it needed to be, and then she drew lines, rotated around, drew lines on the inside. So what's the word, like mapping out, like stenciling, put a pencil on the inside of your the reveal, so she knew where to stamp all her bits, all her sentiments. So this was fun. I have used a bit of foam, mounted him up. This is my stamp set. So the first thing you're going to see is, you can see at the top there, I had Hope Your Easter Is. I have trimmed a little bit off the side. You have to be really, really careful. Yes, my head's in the way because I wanted it straight. And I wanted my sentiments straight, because usually if I'm putting two sentiments together, I can't line them up to save myself. So you can see here, I've placed the template over the top of my scalloped circle, and I'm positioning all my sentiments in there, in each little gap. I don't think you really have to worry too much about getting it dead center, because when you rotate them around, no one's going to realize, unless you really screw it up, so to speak. Then you might want to do it again. But this makes it really easy that you can just stamp the whole lot in one foul swoop. I have a brad, and now I've placed it through the center of each of my circles and just rotated it around to make sure my hole is going to be big enough, which it was, and that it freely moves, because we're spinning this baby. I have placed those together and put my brad the whole way through. I'm going to rotate. These are big. I need some smaller little foams. And I'm going to put the foam on the back of it, because this panel is not going to move. It's stuck to the card base. This is going to hold it in place. But with the brad, this is where the rest of it is going to rotate around. So I'm going to take all those foams off, and also I'm going to get another piece of card base that I had already cut. I'm a little bit high, and adhere my wheel onto the back. What I would suggest is having foam for your background. The wheel can be whatever, but having foam for your background to support the rest of your card to be a little bit higher than the one that you've used for the reveal, because you've got the foam for the spinner, then you've got more cardstock, the brad, so you need to have a little bit bigger. I used double. On the wheel I used just by itself. This is American peeps. This is your card shape, so we're just going to trim the very bottom off this card base. This is just, I think it's grey slate from Stampin' Up. It's just stuff I had in my stock, so I've trimmed all that off. The last thing I'm going to do is place my, well, it's not the last, my little arrow to indicate that you need to spin this around, and I'm giving this to my niece tomorrow. A little bit of stickles just on the clouds, just where the clouds meet another one as it dips down. You can do it wherever you want, of course, but I thought it gave it a nice little sparkly cloud thing. And the very last thing I'm going to do is going to be some glossy accents on my windscreen, because my glossy accents is running out. I do have another one, but it's a big tube. I need to funnel some into this one. Pop all your little bubbles for your pin with a pin, and this helps to smooth it out, and that is my card. Little wheel. It says Happy Easter Spectacular. Hope your Easter is spectacular. Have a great time. Take care. Bye.